So my philosophy has always been to design learning that employees are engaged with, they want to take. And I think the way you do that is you create curiosity. You create you create this this need for people to say, geez, I wonder about that. I'm curious about that. I want to learn more about that. I mean, Leo, that's my favorite question. Any question that starts with the words, I wonder.
Welcome to Your Next Big Project is You, a podcast based around the theme of time. Time to be able to press pause on life. Time to reevaluate what's important. Time to reminisce about where you've come from, what you've learned, and what you've accomplished. Time to revisit your goals, dreams, and vision. And time to remember the people in your life. That's it, my friends. If you've got time, fasten your seatbelt and listen in as we discuss opportunities for the next 5 to 25 years of your life. And remember, your next big project is you.
Welcome to our podcast. Your next big project is you. And I've got a special guest today, someone that's become like a sister to me over the course of the last year plus. And I'd like to welcome Ann Apking from Shelby Township, Michigan, a suburb of Detroit. And Ann, thanks so much for joining us today. What a privilege.
Well, thank you for having me, Leo. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, for the folks listening in today, I've got a real guru in the learning space. And I'm really proud to say this, getting to know Ann. And Ann is the co-author of 2 books. One is called Improving Performance Through Learning, and the second one here is about high-impact learning. When you talk to someone with proven expertise that deals with individuals who are challenged to change, challenged to go from good to great to extraordinary, to being their best, Ann's job, obviously, is to come in to listen and to figure out what attitudes, what knowledge, what skills are required, and to design beautiful programs that just come out in an elegant format. So, Ann, thank you so much for joining me today. What a great opportunity for us to hear from your perspectives on higher education learning as it comes into the corporate world as well. So much appreciated.
Oh, I am so glad to talk to you about this, Leo. You and I go back 1.5 years now. So
yeah. Well, the journey for those of you listening is I was creating a program that I wanted to relaunch. COVID hit, and I called one of my dearest friends and mentors out in Arizona, and I said, hey, here's what I'm trying to do. And next thing I know, he said, you've got to meet this lady from Michigan, and she's connected with this really amazing digital platform out of Europe and Sweden. And that's what brought us together. And so there's so many things to talk about, but let's just start with your journey in the instructional design world. I really believe this would be a good place for our listeners today to get a sense of where you started and where you are today.
sure, absolutely. So I have been in the learning and training field for over 35 years. Seems that it's amazing to say that, but back in the 80s is when I started. And I have always been external to organizations and consulting with them to help their organizations and their employees do better, work more efficiently. I mean, I cut my teeth way back in the 80s with the Sherwin-Williams Company. I don't know if I ever told you that, but we developed an entire store curriculum. So I learned a lot about paint stains and clear coatings, carpeting, wall covering, paint brushes, all of it. And from there, worked with lots and lots of very cool organizations. Like you said, I'm in the Michigan area, so I worked with the Dow Chemical Company, which is up in Midland. From there, moved down to a long relationship with Steelcase, which is in Grand Rapids. They manufacture office furniture, and worked with them 25 years. And frankly, there, I would say I did some of my best, my most creative work and most award-winning work at Steelcase. They're very innovative. They're forward-thinking. But now, worked with companies like General Motors, still in the Michigan area, Kaiser Permanente, TransUnion. So lots of different fields. And honestly, what's interesting if you're in this field of learning and training is that you don't have to be a subject matter expert in what you're teaching. The client gives you that. What you have to bring is the instructional design expertise, the process, and a big truckload of creativity.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got to where I am today.
Well, boy, you've had so many different experiences. When you look at the Fortune 500 list of clients that you've been able to serve over the years, it's super impressive. What's important is that I don't care if you're a wealth advisor listening in today. I don't care if you've just sold a real estate organization. I don't care if you own a travel group, as some of the friends I know that are part of a cohort we're teaching. I don't care if you're a retired military, professional that spent your years there. It doesn't matter. I mean, your skills and from your writing and the books that you've co-authored is all about taking people in any walk of life to learn new attitudes, new skills, acquired knowledge, whatever that might be, and to formulate that into the right learning design so that we can change behaviors and to drive towards results of any of those companies that you just mentioned. So I'm curious, what's been your philosophy as you work with clients on some of these training initiatives, changing attitudes, knowledge, skill? Philosophically, where you come from on that?
You just said a mouthful right there. The very first book that Rob Brinkerhoff and I wrote, High Impact Learning, really captures that philosophy. And it's really one of learning has to have an impact. It has to have an impact both on employee performance. And like you said, doesn't matter what your job is, but if an organization is going to make an investment in learning, they need to get that investment back in improved performance, better, different performance. They're heading in another direction. And secondarily, or in line with that, then the business needs to see that result in terms of increased sales, customer satisfaction, whatever the metric is. But in addition to that, that's like number one priority, number one philosophy. But just as important, it is our job as the designers of learnings, as the architect of a learning structure, that we create learning that employees want to take, not that is mandatory, required. I have to take it. I have to check the box. For example, a lot of compliance training is in that realm. Safety training, got to do it every year, check the box. And that kind of training is typically wicked boring. It's horrible. And if it's e-learning, people hit the next button until they can get to the test and finish the test and get out of there as quick as you can. So my philosophy has always been to design learning that employees are engaged with, they want to take. And I think the way you do that is you create curiosity. You create this need for people to say, geez, I wonder about that. I'm curious about that. I want to learn more about that. I mean, Leo, that's my favorite question. Any question that starts with the words, I wonder, I love that. And now I feel like that's my goal.
Wow. I wonder. I love that. It's interesting, Ann, because I'm all about impact and making a difference in people's lives or in their businesses and helping them achieve. I'm measured by this in my consulting, coaching, training work today. That's why you would talk about our value ladder, for instance. And the last step is, why should I do business with you? What's the real value? In your case, you're designing it around real impact, making a difference, achieving results, driving metrics, things like this. I've seen so much design over the years, and what makes design, when it's good or when it becomes elegant, when people reputationally hear about your work, and it's not like they're showing up because my manager or leader, somebody told me I needed to show up today. I couldn't wait to get here because I'm hearing about the program and I want to go through this. I know it's how I'm going to help me in my job. So how does good to great to becoming truly elegant, where people want to be part of the training and coaching? What are some of the things that have to come into place there?
Oh, that is such a great question. So what does good look like when it comes to learning? Well, I'll start with one big mistake that a lot of organizations have made in the past, but I'm seeing a trend to better. And that is that so much of learning in the past has been event based. It's a single workshop. It's 4 hours or a day or an hour, whatever it is. But it's one thing. It's a sheep dip, one exposure, and then you're done, and you should be a master at it, and you move on. And that's a mistake. So good learning is the opposite of that. Good learning is is honestly a great example of beautiful, well-designed learning is what we've created with the sabbatical experience. So it is a learning journey. It's stretched over time. It's stretched over modalities or the way in which people learn. I mean, we have included such a diverse mix of media in the sabbatical experience. I mean, we have people listen to TED Talks or watch videos. Shoot, we take snippets of these podcasts, and when they're really sweet and relevant to one of the elements, we drop it in there. I mean, but we have a lot of other stuff. We have people reading books, poetry, listening to music, engaging in individual activities that sort of get them out of their comfort zone. And what it's done is it's so enriched the 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 sort of the immersion that people have in each element. So if you have the element of life of significance or abundance or gratitude, which is where we happen to be right now, it's not just one shot, one exposure to gratitude, but they swim around in it, and they create, they might create a gratitude journal, or they watch a spotlight of Lainey Tyler, or they create a top 100 list. I mean, we have them do so many different things, and that is really what makes it beautiful, because you don't know what's going to touch the mind, the heart, and the soul of each individual person, and that could be different. And so when you create this diversity, you're likely to hit somebody in the heart at some point, which I love. The other thing that diversity does is it creates learning that's sort of sticky. It's memorable. It sticks with you. It's almost like a great story that hangs with you, and you might tell it next week or next year, that kind of thing. So, and then the final point, I think, is that we've created an experience that blends large group synchronous events, which you need that to create that social networking. We have smaller groups that create a little bit more intimate setting for people to share, a little safer. And then we have individual activities that people do on their own. And then we're incorporating one-on-one coaching. I mean, to me, those are like four cornerstones of beautiful learning.
Yeah. How many times do you think of in your past where people have come into a training program and said, what time are we finished today? Any chance we can get this done a little bit sooner? Oh, I got a flight to catch. I'm going to be leaving here late morning. And somebody, sometimes they even tell you they're just bolted. It's like, holy cow, what's going on here? I mean, come on, we're not even through the program. And I love it in terms of when you talk about extending the program, the right type of time, the diversification of activities and things that you just mentioned and stuff without repeating things like that. And even I know in our value proposition for the experience that you're referencing, we touch the heart, we touch the mind, we touch the body and the soul. Successful individuals, right? Who are challenged or on a path of becoming their ultimate best in learning how to live their legacies now. So when you design learning that touches those modalities, heart, mind, body, soul in different ways, and that's what you're designing. I'm seeing it firsthand, the beauty of your design and how you're thinking and how you're bringing all these pieces together in ways that I never would have thought. Someone would come in and say, here's the song you all should listen to. Here's a poem you should read. Here's the movie you need to watch. Here's an exercise. These are things. It's when it all comes together rather than showing up for a day, day and a half, 2 days, Here's the agenda for the morning. Here's the agenda for the afternoon. We're going to have a dinner together. Next day, we're doing this. See you all in 6 months from now at our next meeting. Doesn't happen the way you're designing like this. That's what I love about it. And I'm curious, what are some of the things you've learned to ensure that the work truly does make a difference in the companies you partner with?
Oh gosh. Well, it starts, I think, with a really clear blueprint. I'll use that word intentionally. So you would never build a house, I don't think, without a blueprint. I mean, you need to know, are we building a 200 square foot house? Are we building a mansion? Where's the bathroom going to be? Where's the kitchen going to be? And I believe that good learning begins with the sort of the discovery phase with a client like you. And if, in fact, you may have forgotten this, but we had a blueprint, we had a design document for the sabbatical experience. And it was really my tool to capture your thinking and sort of your vision for what the sabbatical experience was going to be in its learning journey form. So prior to this, and I'm not sure if all your listeners will know this, but you had implemented the sabbatical experience as a workshop, as a live event, twice, in past years, once in Scottsdale and once in beautiful Buffalo. And then the COVID, pandemic shut you down, and you were in the same boat as every other organization. And I'll tell you, business was booming for me because I had clients having to turn left and transition all of their face-to-face learning to learning that could be done virtually. And that, I mean, everybody was in the same boat. So it really was a turning point, I think. It made people stop and think about how they were delivering learning. And that, in fact, I believe that the redesign that folks have had to go through because of the pandemic has, for the most part, created better learning experiences for their audiences, not worse. It was painful because I think people were on maybe autopilot or autoplay. Let's just play that same workshop again and again and again.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, that it's not good for anybody.
Yeah, we all needed to change, didn't we?
Yeah.
When you think about this, what COVID did to us, I'm thinking yesterday, I just saw somebody for the first time, probably 2 years.
Oh my
I
goodness.
said, "Hey, I'm vaccinated. I've gotten 2 boosters. Come on, give me a hug." It's like how it's changed us, and the change with this in the learning space, with the increased utilization of technology, digital platforms, things that you've introduced me to that I was quite honestly unaware of. I'd kind of heard of them at a cursory level, but never really got deep to understand how it could be integrated. And I know you've brought that level of thinking to me, the effective integration of technology. Say more to what you're seeing and feeling today, and how that's affecting projects that you're working on with some of these companies that you listed way beyond my work.
Yeah. It's really interesting. So the learning and development space has had the technology that supports both the design, the creation of what we can produce, and what learning can look like e-learning, courses that are offered online, and they're self-instructional and you can crank through them. The tools that have just boomed. I mean, there are so many tools out there that designers can use to create learning. But in our case, the ability to use the Promote platform. So Promote International is that organization that you mentioned in Sweden, and they have actually created an online platform. I think about it almost like a learning sandbox.
Sure.
That is based on the first book that Rob and I wrote, High Impact Learning. Somehow they got a copy of that book, read that book, and then the guys from Promote hunted Rob down and talked to him about the concepts and the philosophy that we wrote about. in high impact learning, and they used that book and the thinking there to design the Promote platform. And so what it does, it gives us a place online to meet virtually, but more importantly, it gives me a place as the designer of learning to create and put all of these activities, all of the materials, the worksheets or a resource guide, whatever, right there. It has the social aspect where folks can respond to tasks. Other participants can take a look at what they posted, and they can respond to it. They can like it, kind of like Facebook. It's this meeting place online that keeps the learning structured in a learning journey format. It has everything that you need there. It prompts participants when they're late with tasks, as when, every once in a while somebody misses a deadline. We can do announcements there. It really is this tool that has allowed virtual learning to really become a journey, and supported by facilitators and coaches like you have on the Sabbatical Experience faculty.
Yeah, I love the fact of starting from optimal, starting from robust. What does comprehensive really mean when it comes to elegant design? How do we cross all the T's and dot all the I's the best that we can? And so many times what I've seen in my career is people taking shortcuts to learning and see how they can cut the time down, cut the budgets down. But I said, if we had to start with optimal, and things over to be optimal seems to be stretched over time, which we've talked about here. So I just want to talk a little bit more about the stretching things out correctly without taking too much time. There's a balance as well.
Oh, there sure is.
You don't want to just take something that should be taught like this and we're just making it look like this. But optimally, it's like this. But what I'm saying is that many people I work with try to get this type of learning, but they try to do it in this much time, but they want the results that this type of learning will give them.
That's right.
You just can't do it.
There's no silver bullet.
Yeah, there's some trade-offs here, right? There's some trade-offs. How do you counsel people thinking about optimal and stretching things out, doing it properly? Let's put a bow on that one before I ask you a couple final questions here.
That's a tough one, Leo, because people equate time with money. So clients might think that if you stretch it out over time, it's going to cost them more money. And so you got to almost create the business case for how it actually may even save them money, how it could be less expensive. And it's kind of tough to prove that out, because they have, and I really think this is true, they have this event-based paradigm around learning. It's the sheep dip. Think about your value ladder. Could you teach your value ladder in one session? You could maybe give them the very top skin of it. And that's it. You don't dive deep anywhere in one session, really. So it's then that is the whole impact conversation that you have to have with your clients. Now, the one thing that helps is that if they are used to paying for travel and expenses for folks to come into a location, maybe it's the RenCen downtown Detroit, or maybe it's somewhere in beautiful Buffalo, and you're paying for flights and rental cars and food and all of that, plus meeting room space and all of that. That's not cheap. That is not cheap. And when you can just change it up to a virtual, but still a synchronous delivery, like we do wonderful 3-hour sessions with Sabbatical Experience, I don't feel I'm missing anything by not being in the same room with those folks. I do feel like I'm missing something if they turn their camera off. I really feel like I want to see their faces, and I want to,
exactly.
Kind of thing.
Exactly.
But
I'll tell you what's impressed me so far, just the last 20 to 30 minutes there.
Yeah.
You've said beautiful Buffalo twice. So you didn't say
You're
that.
rubbing off on me. You're rubbing off on me.
You didn't see that when we first met and things like this. And for those of you listening to my podcast, I'm from the beautiful Buffalo area. starting my own company 30 years ago. I'm been a proud person representing our community. And while Ann and I are filming this, we're also saying prayers for families in beautiful Buffalo here that unfortunately have been taken down with another tragedy in the United States. And as we're speaking, another tragedy in the school shootings down in Texas. So we send our love and our prayers and our thoughts to those families in ways that I wish we could address. But part of our work, and that segues into some of the work that we're doing, and it's challenging people to, what can you do to make a difference in someone's life, in your own life to start with? What can you do to make sure there's no regrets? What can you do to make sure that you've got abundance in your life, your time, your talent, your treasure? What can you do to extend gratitude to people? What can you do to have better perspective? Boy, right now, seeing things through a different lens of what our country's going through right now is requiring unique perspective. How do we become our best through what we're all experiencing? And how do we not just think about our legacies, those that are making decisions on behalf of our country, those of us that are making individual decisions with our families, our clientele, our friends, whatever, this stuff all comes together. You've been helping me to create this journey, and I've got cards here, but I want to ask you first, what's your next big project? It's the title of our podcast here. And you're the lady with the smile. You're the lady that should have that exclamation point behind you. Because I've always said you are just an exclamation. You literally make people feel good with your work, with your desire to really achieve and to do cool things with learning and things like that. You're just that. I can't say it any better than that. Your exclamation point. Kill that bookshelf behind you. You gotta change the configuration of your room there and figure that out for you. What's your next big project?
Well, I see two things. And the first one you already know about. I have a passion for our national parks, and I have biked and hiked, I have to say, only 13 of them. I counted them off yesterday, and I thought I was farther. There are 63 national parks, so I have 50 to go. So I'm going to have to I need to make a plan to try and maybe knock out 3 to 5 each year. Bike them, hike them, whatever you do there, that's what I'm going to do. So that's one of my big projects. And the other is I would like to help others do what I think you and I have done here with the Sabbatical Experience, and think about how they can take learning that may be good now and take it to great or extraordinary. And through the use of the platform, through the use of stretching it over a learning journey, adding creativity, adding curiosity to it. I mean, for me, it's interesting. I mean, they say you never work a day in your life if you love what you do. And I've been blessed to find an occupation that really, I think, leverages all my talents. I mean, every minute I worked on the Sabbatical Experience, writing what is in the platform, just trying to layer on top of your sabbatical wheel and the thinking that you put into the next big project is you. All of that was just invigorating to me. I just found that to be, I didn't want that to end. So that's how I feel like people should feel about their work. And if you would ask me the question in the deck about what am I grateful for, I'm grateful that I get to do the work I do with people like you.
That's the question for today. That's the question for today, folks. So there's a lot of these questions that can ask Ann, but this one was timely today. When you hear folks like Ann say the word love, that she loves doing things, and the sense of curiosity and invigoration, I've always said passion never sleeps. Passion never sleeps. I know we get a few hours here and there, but when you're around somebody that makes you feel good, that is so committed to their craft, that loves what they're doing, that is really and truly trying to make a difference in people's lives. Well, Apking feels like that old TV show. This is your life. This is your life. Thank you so much for being a part of my life, and the folks that we're now coaching and training are all better off because of your expertise and your love and passion for your work. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you so much, Leo. My pleasure.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thank you.